Hey fam, welcome back to Beyond Travel Check-ins with Saida.
And sometimes Jermaine.
So today we're going to be answering the question whether or not it's safe for women to move abroad. And we're going to talk a little bit about why I moved abroad and hopefully give you some insight if you are considering a move abroad.
So what was some of the biggest reasons to make you move abroad?
The biggest thing is I think when we came to Kenya, I was really enamored by the country. I was enamored by the people and just enamored by how much I kind of fit in here. The culture was a good fit for us, I thought, and I felt like it would allow us to, I think, do more missions. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking it would allow us to be involved in missions more on a day-to-day basis versus like every 2 years doing a mission trip to Kenya or every 3 years.
Okay. So do you think moving abroad has helped you be more feminine? If so, how?
So that's probably the biggest benefit of moving to Kenya specifically. So one thing about Kenya is this is a patriarchal society. A lot of decisions are made by the men. One thing that myself and some other women who live here notice is that, like James Brown said, this is a man's world. And I noticed that the men defer to my husband. They notice the same thing. And then sometimes from women who are not married, they've said that when they're trying to interact here in Nairobi specifically, they don't feel like sometimes they're heard when they're talking to men. And then sometimes it's kind of like this, I guess, flirtation kind of thing, whereas I don't have to deal with that because I'm married. I'm typically with you, but if I wasn't with you, I think I would have to deal with some of that.
And it probably depends on what kind of person you are too, right? Because we know some they're gonna make themselves heard. And flirtation do nothing.
Yes, they're gonna make themselves heard. But for me, and that's one of the things, like for me being here, I feel like I'm living a softer life. Because in the States, sometimes you may feel like you have to make yourself heard, or you're encouraged to be heard. And I think here, I'm living a quiet and a soft life, and it allows me to be more feminine. And just seeing the way the Kenyan women, move around in society has given me a lot of inspiration and encouragement, and helped me even shape how I move around as a woman now living in Nairobi.
Okay. So do you think moving here has made a difference in how you think about the American dream?
I do. So I kind of thought we had achieved the American dream. And the American dream is just for us, basically, you get married, you have children, you raise your children, you send them to college, you get them situated as adults, they have grandkids, you become grandparents,
That's the old American dream, I think. The new American dream, much more than that.
Yeah, I think, but that's the American dream from our generation.
Yeah.
Like, that's what our parents wanted to accomplish.
Right,
so for us to accomplish that, it's like we accomplished things that our parents wanted to accomplish.
Right.
And traveling a few places, like those were the things our parents wanted. So, I think our parents were happy for us where we were in life. But I realized that wasn't exactly what God was calling us to. Like, to reach this, you have a home in the suburbs, you've raised your kids. The American dream became something else for me when we first came to Kenya in 2017. It became being more immersed and involved in missions work and just doing things that were going to help other people versus spending the rest of my days, my old days, just vacationing and doing social events with other empty nesters.
So how do you feel about safety? First of all, do you feel safer in Nairobi, and do you feel safer in some of the other places you visited compared to the U.S.?
And you mean other places that I visited here in Kenya?
No, like other countries. Like, you just came back from Dubai, I guess Amsterdam, anywhere you've been to.
Listen, I think as a woman, there's always a level of, I think like you need, and this is coming from me, right? I was in my strong woman era and now I'm in my soft woman era. And I feel like sometimes being in America, I think as women, and I'll speak for my own self, can think we have more power and authority and strength than we really do because we have the police behind us. And we have the law behind us, whereas it's different in other countries.
Right.
So do I feel safer here? I feel safer because, for one, I feel safe being with you, because I see this as a patriarchal society. I see how men interact with men, and I see that women who have a man with them, and I don't know, I can't speak about women who are not married, I don't know, but women who have a man with them, I don't have any issues. I don't have any issues with any man. I've not had any problems,
Right.
anything. Like I've never felt, you know when I felt like threatened as a woman? When the time that I wasn't with you and all the women were in the car and that was just about it. Which reminds me that this is a patriarchal society. A man needs to be around in some of these instances to curb some of the activities of a man who tries to infringe, I guess, on a woman's rights.
Women can move around, right? It's just you have to move differently. You can't just have the same just la 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 stuff you do in the U.S.
That naivete.
Yeah, so I don't think a lot of people realize, man, the U.S. has a lot of protections there.
Yes.
I know we have little issues with the police and all that, but from day-to-day life, it's a lot of protections going on in the U.S.
Absolutely, because even here, like as a woman, when you're moved to another country, like initially you don't know how the law works, you don't know how the police work, and like in the U.S., you know how the police work. You'll call the police and they'll come out within a reasonable amount of time. But in some countries, the police come some hours later. Including this one. Like you could be waiting 3 hours for the police to show up. So those are things you need to know, especially you need to know that before you get into a situation where you need the police.
But you know, sometimes in the hood, the police might take a little longer.
Exactly, too.
Yes.
And even in the hood, like the police are typically around because they're policing.
Right.
So, to me, that's a very important thing to know. Especially if you're traveling by yourself, or even if you're traveling with your spouse, I think that's important to know. How does the police system work? And from what I understand, it's not set up like America here in Nairobi, but I don't know about every other country.
Right, but I would say, right, as long as you do what you're supposed to be as a woman, you should just be safe, right?
Yeah.
Because it is safe here, because people are not. It's like you don't hear as much like violence here as you do back home sometimes. So I think if you're a woman, if you know how to move correctly, right, you'll be A-okay.
And by correctly, do you mean like avoiding being out late at night by yourself?
Yes.
Those kinds of things. Like don't put
Right.
I remember we went on our first mission trip, and the lady who was over the mission trip, she told us when we arrived in the country, don't be dumb. And pretty much like that boils down to like, don't come to a country doing things that you wouldn't do back in the States.
I would say as a lady, don't even do some of the things you used to do back in the States, because that ain't gonna help you.
Right. Like you might have, hung out in the evening and stuff like that. Like you gotta make sure you're with somebody, make sure somebody knows like you're going home. Just be safe and be smart.
Right. And then you have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know we talked about like the American dream and all that kind of stuff, where you talked about it. So did coming here or moving abroad change the way you think about like career paths or working or anything like that?
I think this is a good fit, especially like if you're the kind of person who is like motivated. I think people call it self-motivated. You're a self-starter. I think it can work for you. I think me and you were kind of out of the like 9-to-5 mentality pretty like some years ago, and I think it's because we were already preparing in our minds to just do other things that didn't lock us into a job. I know we used to talk about that a lot. So traveling definitely gives like career freedom,
Right.
Because it forces you to come up with revenue streams that if you were just in a job and you were just reliant on your check, you would just wait on your check, but then it's hard to leave the U.S. Making a decision to travel abroad forces you to begin thinking about, okay, what tools do I have? What talents do I have? What gifts do I have that I can monetize?
Do you think it's a such thing as, like, I hate to use the word toxic, but toxic ambition? Because I feel like when we come over, I guess you could say overseas, like, it's not about ambition. It's about enjoying your life. Like, you need money. Don't get it twisted, and you need to be able to have some get up and go about yourself to do it. But sometimes at home you feel like, oh, I got to achieve this certain status, a certain job title in order to say you did something. Over here it's like, oh man, you're just enjoying the life and the weather. What do you think about it?
I agree, because it's like when you're in the States, it's like it's all these levels. As soon as you get to one level, then it's the next level. Then it's the next level. Like the levels never end in the States. But I feel like when you move abroad, reaching the upper levels is easier with a U.S. income.
Yeah, it is. And here they take a lot of the I out of it. It's like a group mentality, Back home, we turn into an I society.
Yeah.
So that's why I have to do this. Versus a lot of times when you travel, you see a lot of people are moving as a group to a certain extent.
Yeah, for sure. But I think it's like when you're here, I think the work pressure, like for us, right? They talk about work-life balance. Like, would you say, do you feel like you have a work-life balance living here?
I kind of do. I mean, we still fairly busy now, just to be honest with you, because I still think we got that mindset to a certain extent. But I'm happy, so it's cool with me. What about you?
I do. I feel like I have a work-life balance. Like during the day, I feel like the schedule works for us. Like during the day, we can meet with people. We can go to lunch. We can go to brunch. We can go to the gym. It's less rushed. We got class. Then in the evening, we spend a couple of hours working, or we record some videos for YouTube. It just seems more balanced, and it makes more sense.
So, what do you have to say about women that want to travel or thinking about traveling? What kind of advice would you have for them?
So I would say if you're a married woman, I would say be patient with your husband as his eyes open up about the possibility of living abroad. Because for us, I first brought the idea to my husband in 2017 and we moved in 2024. So be patient. Like, I know I nagged him some, but bring information. And I guess I would ask you, like, what would be the best way to maybe get a husband on board? And maybe what are some of the things that he would be apprehensive about?
Well, it's just like anything else, right? First, you got to see the vision. Like, if you can't really paint the picture for him, if he doesn't see it himself, he's probably not going to move. He's probably not doing anything. But if you can pick the picture and you can say, this is how we can do it. Because as men, we want to know how. We don't want to know all this, we don't know
all the dreams and the fantasy.
How much it's going to cost. We need to know all that kind of stuff. So just the fantasy stuff about you being in the tropics, that's cool, but how? So we don't really need the why so much. We know why you want to move abroad, but it's more the how. And once you can help provide the how, I think then, a man's more likely to move.
And what's the biggest how? How to do what?
How to make this money. How are we going to be okay? How's the safety? Right? Those are the main ones. How I'm going to make money and how's the safety? Right? And really, he wants to know, well, if you got the money, you can get back home. But most people are still attached to home. So they're going to be, some people are just going to be attached to home regardless. Like, we, to a certain extent, we are kids and grandkids, right? So, yeah, you just need those big house, the safety and the money.
And one thing I would say for married women, if your husband is apprehensive and he's curious about like how Jermaine came to the decision, you can definitely chat with us. You can hop on a call, schedule a call with us. Because I get it. Like, this is the thing. I think you need people on your team helping your husband come alive to the vision and the idea. And for us, that was like a family member who came in and provided like ideas for how we can make money while we were traveling abroad.
Yeah.
And I think even like our Kenyan friends here opening up the information that he needed to know that it was going to be safe here for us, that it was going to be for us to find a place to live, all those different things. So I think maybe gathering people in that can help versus you trying to convince your husband. Now for single women, I would say know somebody in the country that you are going, because you can get into a lot of things, whether you're a male or a female. You can move to a country and you can get into a lot of things. And I don't think it's a lot of content creators creating content and sharing the mishaps and misfortunes and tight situations that they get in when they're traveling abroad. Like you hear about them a little bit more within the travel community
while you're out here.
Yes. But you want to know these things and these pitfalls ahead of time. And one thing I say is know somebody in the country, know somebody who has been there. Like some people say, well, why should I pay somebody? If you don't know anybody personally, paying somebody a couple of dollars to share insight with you about a place, like that is priceless.
Yeah, now we know a couple ladies the guy that got the gift of gab, they know how to maneuver around these things, but that's about 10% of people. You got to know yourself. I know a lot of people think they can do that, but no. Some people just know how to but most of us, no, we need somebody around to kind of show us, because you don't know what you don't know.
That's my daughter's favorite saying. You don't know what you don't know. And there's no way, it's good to have people, because there's no way that even if you sit down and you talk with somebody who's in the country, that they can tell you every single thing. But when you come to the country, having someone that you can call when you're apartment hunting, having someone you can call when you're getting scammed, having someone you can call when you're getting bribed, or having someone you can call when you're lost or you're in any situation is
you might
priceless.
just need that mental call, right? To say, hey, how do you deal with this mentally?
And having somebody just to even check in on you. Like to me, I was talking to a friend today and we were just talking about having someone who can check in with you once or twice a week to help you get through those real culture shocks, not those other ones. People be talking about culture shock, the weather, the this, that, but the other things, dealing with people overcharging you for things and stuff like that consistently. So that's the advice that I would definitely give to someone who is single, who is considering traveling abroad.
Okay.
Well, guys, if you're considering traveling abroad, would you let us know down in the comment section, like where are you considering traveling to? We are definitely very interested in that. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section below. And then also make sure you like this video. Yeah, let's put this video in our top 10 videos for this week. Make sure you like it, share it with a friend, subscribe to our channel, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.